The next part which I want to mention in this phase is it's known as oops. All right, so the next phase which I want to mention here, it's all about the function. Sorry, I want to mention about function, right? I'm going to mention about function, right? So I start with the following question. What is a function? And what is a method? It's important, right? What is a method? Very important to know as a programmer or as person who works with this often. Another question for triggering: are they different or same? Different or same. Why or why not? Why or why not? We start first define. We start from the second one. Is a method and a function same or different? That this can be like the first interview in your job application. Is a function or method are same or different? Different? Why or why not? They are not same. Okay, function can. Okay, Joshua said, okay, let me register this one. Joshua said that function, this is for Joshua. Function can work alone, right? Fn can work alone, right? Okay. What about method? So you say that different, right? So what about method? It can work with what? Okay, method can work, or method can work inside class, right? Inside the class. Excellent. I agree with you. Function, we can create a function separate. They can work alone. But most of the time in object-oriented programming language, we call them the method because they are related to the classes. And the function is for the functional, such as a C programming language. So they come under the function. So the function is a different from method, because method is if you're explaining, they all work the same, but they're used in a different place. Function is when we are focusing on functional programming language, such as a C. Method, they're used when we come to the object-oriented programming language, such as C++. We can use method, or we can use even a function, Java, and so on. You can keep them there. All right, so now we look to the function now. So what is a function? That's our second question, right? So now, what is a function? Musonda, what is a function? Muzo, what is a function? Right. As you're still thinking, there is a common word which is used in India. They said, I'm going to the function. Do you use the same in your country? We have a function. Like an event. Yeah, like event. So it's common. You say we have a function at home. Yeah, we have a function. So it's, when you say, where are you? I went to the function. So everybody knows that you're in an event or something part. So I'm not sure if it's quite familiar to you. So what is a function? How do you define a function? How to define a function? Just for the sake of time. A function is what? A function is a block of code which perform Yes, perform, which perform, a task over and over again. I say which perform a task whenever it is called, whenever it is called, if I put in this way, right? So that can be like the easy way to understand the function. Or else we can say a function is a reusable block of code, right? It's a reusable block of code. So we are going to use it over and over again, right? That's the code, the function. Now in a Scala, we use in a Scala, you can use function or method, because we can create classes, we can even create the function which is standalone. Now, syntax to create a function. To create a function in Scala. So it is as follows. We do as follows. We say variable. Here you create a variable. This is let's say var or var. You create as a variable, and here we followed by function name, followed by parameter list here, parameter list or list of parameters, and then followed by the arrow here, and you initialize your variables. Here you have variable, here I call it parameter. You initialize the parameters like this way. So this is like the syntax. I give an example. That's above was an example. Put here example. Oops. I forgot to underline. So let me underline this one. I put down here. Now I say example, underline. So this is the way we can write. For example, we write var, we say add one function name, and then we say x, it's the variable name, and we pass the parameter. This is called what? This is known as the type of your parameters. In above, I forgot. Here I'm supposed to put parameter list column and then the data type. So the data type which we have here, we say, let's say x plus 1, right? X plus 1. What does it mean? We have the function here, name, and they want the function to pass a parameter, for example, only one parameter, to pass one parameter. And we want to perform the addition of this variable. If you enter the value, you have to, let's say you have to add it. Means it's going to add, if you put 1 in your function, then you're going to get 1. You're going to get 2. If you put, for example, if you put a 2, you're going to get 3. Now, important part here. Just write this as a syntax. I'm supposed to mention above, but take it here. Part of function, right? I'm going to write down here. Please note down. This is very, very useful for your to refresh your knowledge in the function. So I mentioned here parts of functions. How many parts of functions? How many? Function has, we can have like 3 parts, right? 3 parts in the normal functions. What are those 3 parts? Do you remember? First part, we have a function declaration. declaration. And the second part, the June, what's the second part? Function, definition. What's the third part, Mr. So what is the third part? What is the third part of the function? These are very important. Very, very, very important. You should not forget. These are because there's nothing else. You need to remember them. Yeah, 3 parts. Function declaration, function definition. What is the last? Huh? Function call. These are 3 parts important for any programming language. Any. But most of the programming language, they don't consider the function declaration. Mainly is a function definition and a function call. To create a function, you need to know this. Important. You need to know this by heart. In any function, even if you study the method will carry the same. But certain method, yeah, in the C, even in Java, you can have a declaration inside the function inside the function, and then you can have a definition, and then you can call it in the main function. Important point. So if you understand the function and you know how to define it and to call it, gone, done. During the function declaration, you need to pass the parameters, and during the function call, you need to pass the argument. Another important, you may be asked, you apply for a job or something, they may ask you, what is the difference between parameter and the argument? Parameter is what you pass in a function definition. Argument is what you put in a function call. These are the 2 keywords or 2 technical words which you need to underline. Now, based on what I did up here, this is known as a function definition. And this is parameter, right? Parameter. When I call this function, then that will be known as a argument. I will pass the argument. Important. So your task, which I will give you as assignment, will be to discuss if the function in Scala, if the function returns value, this does not return value, because there are 2, right? Return value function and no return value function. Okay, return value function or no return value function. That's another part which you can go and study them. Now we saw this is what? Which part of the function is this? Function definition, right? Now, how do we call a function? Very simple. So let me write here for the case of remembering here. In case if you want to study them, then you will know them, right? I say for the above example, I say, let me write again example. For example, function definition. Let's say the function definition will be as follows. We say var function name, and then I pass here. I say parameter. I put here parameter. I say data type. You may again put parameter. You can put as much as you can based on your case. I put here data type. This is a syntax, right? Just a new version of the syntax, because the above one I made somehow, it was not clear. So data type. This is a parameter 1. You know the parameters, right? I mentioned the parameters. Parameters are the variables which is passed in a function definition. I'll repeat once again. Parameter is a variable which is passed in a function definition, right? Now here we go. This is a function. This is function definition. And we use the arrow, right? We use the arrow followed by what? Let's say here parameter pass. You pass the parameter here, or you pass the parameter 1 here or 2 based on what we have there, +1, right? +1. Let's say that's thing which we have here. This is called the function definition, right? This is a function definition. Now, all right, once again, I'm going to underline this one. I say here, function code. Function code. How do you call a function? How a function is being called? So, all right, once again, here, function call. All right, how do you call a function? So to call a function, or the way a function needs to be called, you may use the following. You say, for example, you said this is a function call. You said function name, function name. You call it like this way, and then you put here argument. That's all. This is how you call it. This is how it's called. Function name, and then you pass the argument. All right? Function name, and then you pass the argument. Let's do an example. I'm going to end this one. But I just want to know, is it clear for you? Is it clear? You understand? You understand? Joshua? Zijon, you understand? Kind of, where are you stuck? If you do exercise, you're going to know it more. Because through exercise, again, I repeat what I say about the function. What you don't understand, function call, definition. There you go. You get a time again to repeat once again, to review once again. So now, let's do exercise here. We do one exercise, you'll understand. Practical, right? All right, so let's start the hands-on here. Now, let's say we declare a function, right? So we say var add 1. This is a function name. This is a var add 1. We want to pass one argument. Let's say we want to pass, let's say number 1. I put here number 1, right? And I declare the type. Type is an integer. And I pass the arrow function here. And I say here num +1. This is function 1, right? And the name of the function is add 1. So we're going to add 1. For example, 1 + 1 is 1. This part is what? Function definition. We define it. Look here. In arrow gives you the body of your function definition. The body of the function definition. Now, how do we call it? How the function is called? Anybody remember? How do you call this function? Name of the function, add 1. And what do we pass? Parameter, right? I may put, let's say I want to put 4 + 1 is equal to 4 + 1 is equal to 5, right? It's not equal to 41. Because if you put 4 + 1, someone may put this 41. But it is 5 for arithmetic. I put 4 here. It's what? 5. 5. Integer, 5. Again, print ln. Add 1. Right? 4. right? And again here, I'm going to print this one. It's 5. And again, println. I put here, I put here, if you take what? X, which is equal to, that's not, so not X, num, which is equal to what? Num here, and add, if you take and add 1, which means num plus 1, right? Num plus 1 will be equal to, how we pass there? Will it be equal to say what? Will it be equal to say, add 1, right? Let's say 4. I put that S here. Okay. What is that? What is mentioning there? What is that? Did we put num? Oh, num is defined in the body function, so it cannot print it, right? Okay. Cannot print it. Right? It cannot print it because num was where? Num was in a function. So here we say, if you take num and add 1, num will equal to 5, you know, means num is 4. We passed here 4. 4. And then we get 5. We take 4 plus 1 is equal to 5 because the function we declared is here. Right? The function which we declared is here. All right? So we look more, or through exercise assignment which I give you, you have to implement the same thing. And then the next class, as we start a new part, you will remember next class we'll do presentation, and then we start a new chapter, which is very, very important and interesting in this detail. Any question, any doubt? Which one? S. It's like the standard, to consider the standard keywords, like this one. But this one is already defined in the function here, right? In the function body, so it cannot retrieve it. We saw previously, right? In a previous exercise. Yeah.